Hi, superstars. It's time for math, and we are on lesson 1-5. Remember, we already counted to 4 and 5. And if you remember, there's more than one way to arrange 4 objects or 5 objects. Let's look at different ways of arranging 4 counters and 5 counters. Let's look at our worksheet. The beekeeper has 2 hives full of bees. So here's one hive, and here's another hive, and they're full of bees. Now he needs to count how many bees are in each hive, but the bees keep moving. So let's look at this beehive right here. It's hanging from a tree. I'm going to put 4 counters in this beehive. They're going to represent the 4 bees that are in the hive. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there's 4 counters. How many bees are in the hive? Remember, I said that each of these counters represents a bee. So how many bees are in the hive? 4, correct. How do you know? Well, there's 4 counters, so that means there are 4 bees in this hive, right? Okay, so let me try another way of drawing those bees. So we're still looking over here. All right, remember the bees keep moving around. So I'm going to draw some more bees here. All right, they're in different places, aren't they? Okay, so how many bees are there now? 4. Good job. So how do you know? Well, you counted them, and there are 4 counters. Now the counters moved, but the number of bees stayed the same. So how can you check your answer to be sure that there are 4 bees? All you have to do is count the counters, right? That's true. So if the last number I say as I'm counting is 4, I have the correct answer. So let's look over here at these rectangles. Now we're going to color in the boxes to show how many bees are in the hive. How many boxes do we need to color? That's correct. We need 4 to show 4 bees. So I'm going to quickly color in 4 of these rectangles, and that is going to show us that we have 4 bees. All right, let's look at this beehive on the right side. So remember, the bees are buzzing around, and it's hard for the beekeeper to count them because they keep moving. So now, how many bees are in this hive? There are 5. That is correct. How do you know? Well, I put 5 counters, so that means there's 5 bees, right? All right, let's see what happens when these bees move around. Remember, they keep moving around, so it's hard for the beekeeper to count the bees. All right, how many bees are there now? There's still 5. How do you know? The counters moved, but the number of bees stayed the same. So how can you check your answer to be sure? There are 5 bees. You just count the counters. So if the last number you say is 5, then you have the correct answer. Now we're going to look at these boxes or rectangles. How many of these rectangles are we going to color in to show how many bees are in this hive? We will color in 5. Good job, because we had 5 counters to show that there were 5 bees. All right, good job, boys and girls. Let's turn the page. Okay, let's look up here at this box. The beekeeper needs to know how many bees he has. How many bees are there? There are 5. How do you know? We can count the bees, or we can just look at the bees and know that there are 5 because they are in a pattern. Do you see the pattern? There's 1 here and 1 here, 1 in the middle, and then 1 over here and 1 over here. And that is a pattern. So that means there are 5 when you see things arranged in that pattern. So you can count them, or you can recognize the pattern that they're in. So it's important that you get used to the pattern so that when you look at a pattern, you know how many there are rather than counting that pattern. So you should know both ways of figuring out how many bees there are. All right, let's look over here. The beekeeper checks the bees again. The bees have moved. How many bees are there now? Do you notice they're not in that same pattern? They moved. How many are there? 5. That's right. How do you know? The last number we say when we count is 5. So that means there are still 5 bees, right? Good job. All right. Let's look at the next hive right over here. Guess what happened? The bees moved again. How many bees does the beekeeper have now? How many are there? There are 5. That is correct. How do you know there are 5? Because you counted them and the last number you said was 5. Does the number of bees change when the bees move? No, the number stays the same. So it doesn't matter how the arrangement of these bees are. There's still 5 bees. Let's look over here. How does this picture go with the bees? They're counters. The counters are used to show how many bees there are, right? So there's 1 counter in each box. Why are all the boxes covered with counters? To show that there are 5 bees. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good job, superstars. All right. Let's look at these problems now. Let's look over here at number 1. So what you're going to do is count how many animals there are, and then we're going to fill in these boxes or rectangles with counters or color them in. So how many of these flies do you see? Let's check. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 flies. So we put 4 counters and we color that in because each of those counters represent 1 fly. All right, let's look at problem number 2. How many cats do you see? Remember, I want you to notice these patterns so that you don't even have to count them if you recognize the pattern that they're in. But we're going to count to double check, okay? So how many cats? All right, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what are we going to do here? How many counters are we going to draw in the rectangles? 5. Because each counter will represent 1 cat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good job. All right, let's look at number 3. How many birds do you see? Let's count to double check. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 birds. So how many counters are we going to draw in our rectangles over here? I'm going to scoot it over here like so we can see our rectangles. Okay. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 red birds. How many counters am I going to draw here? Remember, each counter represents 1 bird. So if we counted 4, we are going to draw how many? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's look at our last problem. How many bluebirds do you see? All right, try to recognize these patterns that they're in. And then we're going to check and see if our answer is correct. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 bluebirds. If we have 5 bluebirds, how many of these rectangles am I going to draw counters in? 5, that is right. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Each counter represents 1 blue bird. You guys are doing great, superstars. I want you to do the attached worksheet, complete it and turn it in. And until next time, have a wonderful day